Welcome to Career Tipper Podcast, hosted by Michelle Beatty. The Career Tipper Podcast is a motivational resource that shares career and entrepreneurial tips by industry experts that will help amazing people evolve to their professional best. And now your host, Michelle Beatty.
Episode 55 of the Career Tipper Podcast features Debbie Hoffman. Debbie is the founder and CEO of Symmetry Blockchain Advisors, where she works with clients in their endeavors related to education, strategy, compliance, and development of blockchain solutions. She spent a decade of her career as a real estate finance attorney at a law firm. With her experience in financial services, law, and technology innovation, Debbie brings a unique perspective in working with Symmetry's clients. Debbie was selected as a 2018, 2016, and 2014 Woman of Influence by Housingwire Magazine. She serves as the education chair for the MBA MISMO Blockchain Community of Practice and is an advisor to a variety of tech startups. During this episode, Debbie will chat about making a career transition into blockchain. I'm your host, Michelle Beatty, professional development author and coach. Debbie, welcome to the Career Tipper Podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Michelle.
Thank you so much. So let's start out with you explaining blockchain.
Great, Michelle. So let me just start with saying that blockchain is the technology that was originally used by Bitcoin, the electronic cash system. So many of us have heard about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but a lot of people don't really understand that blockchain is actually the technology that is underneath it. And so blockchain is this new protocol or technology that can be used in industries across the globe and industries that have supply chains, that have identity components, that have all kinds of document storage. And what it does is it combines a lot of characteristics of other technologies that we've had in the past, but has kind of the best of everything. So it's a decentralized technology, which means that there's not one server. There's multiple servers, and it can be across anywhere from 3 to hundreds to thousands of servers. So it's harder to hack. It is immutable, which means what you put on this technology, you can't erase it. So it's an incredible way to audit what has been entered. And it's a central real-time deposit of information. And the other thing I want to just make sure people know about it is that it is as a document storage system. I'm talking about it's a kind of a ledger where you can store information. The nature of this system also allows for you to transfer not just documents, think like Word, but also or Excel or something like that. Also to allow for among parties currency, an electronic form of currency to go along with that ledger document. So you are having this concurrent ability to pay for something and to share information. Think about it in a supply chain, and that's going to cause tremendous liquidity in the market. So kind of in a nutshell, it's this technology protocol that is going to be used. It's just booming every day with new ways that we're seeing it being used.
Awesome. Now, Debbie, please share how and why you made the career transition into blockchain.
Well, interesting, Michelle. I started my career, I'm, as you noted, so I've been an attorney a good portion of my career. And when I saw the characteristics of blockchain and what it could do in law, that's really what got me intrigued. And I began to think about when I was first practicing law, I worked for a firm, and we did a lot of work for in loan documents, in mortgage loan documents. And we would see transfers of loan documents among parties. And we would have to go and review all the different parts of those documents. And there would be a lot of missing pieces. So there might be, for instance, a note, it's a note was missing as part of the loan documents, or a mortgage itself could have been missing. And when I saw blockchain, I realized that in a supply chain that has a lot of different documents and pieces and parties to it, it could make it so that we don't lose all those documents. It could be all collected in one database that would be there forever, and there'd be transparency into all the documents. So that's what got me intrigued at the beginning. And then the more I began to review it, the more I saw the use cases of it in documentation, like I said, supply chain, and and how it could be almost any industry can enhance the current processes.
Love it. Now, how will blockchain transform real estate, title, and the housing ecosystem?
So in real estate and title and the housing ecosystem, there's a lot of different parties that are involved. From the beginning of when a consumer is looking to purchase a new home, they're looking at all the different sites and what houses are out there, and then they go and they apply for a loan, and that takes it can take a couple months, sometimes 2 to 3 months, sometimes to even close on that loan. And then the loan itself gets transferred to what's called a servicer, who works with the homeowner to make their payments and make sure their insurance is there. If you look at that as a supply chain, blockchain can allow for all of the information about the borrowers, about the consumers, and about the property to be put in one seamless protocol, one technology, where there wouldn't be transfer of information problems. The information would be there. There'd be more of a seamless efficiency of data. So it takes all these different parties within a supply chain and allows them to work together in a way that we've never seen before, because historically you can't have parties working on the same database, especially untrusted parties. You could do that internally, but you couldn't do that across the supply chain. And what's so great about blockchain is that it allows for these parties, what we call these untrusted parties, to work together for the seamless flow of data that ultimately benefits the consumer, the borrower, because they're going to be able to look at a house, close a loan, and be able to make their payments on the house in a much more efficient manner than today, because of the fact that the parties will be all working from kind of one database instead of this choppy flow of information.
Okay. Now, what are some overlapping traits of how blockchain is being used in other industries?
Well, like I keep talking about supply chain. So if you look at any industry and the different supply chains, one of the greatest examples we've seen so far, and most everybody can relate to it, is in the agricultural and the food supply chain. Walmart has done a blockchain for their romaine lettuce, of all things. And so what they do is they can track it from the farm to the actual sale point. And so they are able to track in a matter of seconds the origin, the temperatures that the romaine was kept at, and the transfer process, and many other factors. And if you think about what happened around Thanksgiving, when we had this, you couldn't see romaine on the shelves. If you had this blockchain and all the different supply chains of lettuce across the country, we wouldn't have waited whatever it was, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, until we saw romaine back on the shelves again. We'd be able to find in a matter of seconds where the derivation of our products are from. So supply chain is a huge one, and that's just one example. And you can do that in artwork, and you can do that kind of in any supply chain. And we're seeing it all over, from, like I said, artwork and flowers and all these innovative supply chains, and of course the more serious ones that are pharmaceuticals and things like that. And then and then just two more things. Like the other thing is identity is the second trait that we're seeing it used across different industries. So being able to, a person's identity is being used in blockchain. And then the third is really document storage. So supply chain, identity, and document storage are really the three overlapping traits.
Okay, awesome. Debbie, what do you want professionals to keep in mind when preparing to include or transition fully into blockchain?
So the first thing is just to educate yourself and learn about what it is and what it means. It's not Bitcoin. So what is it, and how does it work, and how does it apply to what you're doing? And so that's the first, is educate. The second is, once you educate and realize, there's this supply chain, or there's this way I can use it in my industry, it's great to find partners and think about who might work with you to build a blockchain, or who are the partners that you might be able to collaborate with to get onto an existing blockchain ecosystem, to make have more of a swift or efficiency in whatever you're doing. And so when you look at it too, the other thing I always tell people is, don't try and boil the ocean. There's probably a very specific area within what you do, within your supply chain, where there could be more efficiencies. And you have to start with that area and grow it. And lastly, of course, you need to, after you educate, you talk to experts and go to lectures and talk to people that know a little bit more about blockchain, to kind of learn about what other places you could use it in your business.
Now, why is it critical for businesses to understand blockchain and cryptocurrency to maintain a competitive advantage in their client's business and their own?
Well, blockchain is really going to transform the way business is conducted. So if you don't educate yourself, you're just going to lose out, because even if you don't start your own blockchain, which is costly, of course, you will become part of a greater ecosystem, and you have to be able to understand that ecosystem. One of your partners might say, hey, we're working on this blockchain, we'd like you to be part of it, or we require you. Walmart might say, we require you to be a part of it. So whether you like it or not, you are going to be participating in blockchain protocols of technology in your businesses. And it would be like today, if you don't participate, you wouldn't be on the internet. So, it's going to transform the way the underlying technology is going to transform the way we do business.
So interesting. Now, please share the details of the resources and services that Symmetry offers.
So Symmetry does a few things. We educate. We do a lot of sessions with executives or with professionals or with groups that want to learn more about blockchain in their industry. We also help companies strategize as to where they can use it. We look at compliance factors, because you might want to say, well, we have an industry that has a lot of regulatory requirements, and so we look at compliance factors, and then we also do implementations of blockchains. So we kind of go across the board to help you with your blockchain endeavors.
Okay, now Debbie, what's the most valued soft skill and productivity tip you've received?
So I think it's what I title as milestones. You have tremendously large endeavors, and that can be very daunting. And you know that you want to get there, but how do you get from point A to B? So I think the most valued productivity and soft skill is really just being able to take steps to get to a goal, but don't get yourself overwhelmed with the goal. Work your way there and just keep chipping it away at it. And I live in Orlando, Michelle, and I'm a big Disney fan. So one of the phrases sometimes I just put in my head is Nemo's phrase, just keep swimming.
Love it. Nemo. Now, Debbie, please finish these sentences. A strong, productive mindset is?
Strong, productive mindset is a person who does not give up.
High five on that one. My favorite snack is?
Chocolate chips.
Ooh, okay. And the time snatcher you aim to avoid most?
Unproductive emails. I think that goes for a lot of people, Michelle.
Yes, it does. And my hype song is?
Come Sail Away by Styx.
Okay. Now, Debbie, I appreciate you being a guest on the Career Tipper podcast, and please share the best advice or resource that has assisted you with keeping your skills recharged and competitive in the workplace.
Well, it kind of goes along with number one, Michelle, in terms of don't give up. So, you just have to keep pushing forward, keep pushing, and work towards your goals. And there's going to be times when you're down, but you just got to kind of push through it and take those milestone steps to get there. It kind of all goes together, but it's all in the same theme.
Okay. Now, how can the listeners get in touch with you?
So the best way to get in touch with me is through my website, symmetryadvisors.net, symmetryadvisors.net. I can also be found on LinkedIn. And lastly, of course, we have Twitter, which is at Symmetry Advisor, no S. And that's probably the three best ways, Michelle.
Awesome. And you can find me, Michelle Beatty, at CareerTipper.com, and on Facebook and Instagram at CareerTipper, and on Twitter at CareerTipper1. Please continue to listen and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher Radio. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episode, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Career Tipper Podcast. We're grateful for our listeners and guests. For more resources about how to evolve to your professional best, share your comments and feedback about this episode and your suggestions for future guests, visit CareerTipper.com. Until next time, be confidently you.